Hey everybody, Sam Ovens here, and welcome to this week's training for Up-Level Consulting. Now this week, it's all about sales. And I call this one 7-Figure Sales Training, and this is by far the most valuable module of this entire training program. Just learning this alone is worth like 100 times more than the price of admission into this program alone. If you are good at selling, then you will never, ever, ever go hungry for the rest of your life. Being good at selling is the most vital skill in business. You can ask any businessman from, the billionaires to CEOs to anybody. You need to know how to sell. And if there's one thing that I've learned how to do really well in business, it's sell. And in this training, I am literally giving you the exact process that I use every day. This is the best stuff that I've ever put together on the topic of sales. And I've spent a long time trying to put this into this training. So I literally spent probably around 30 hours just making this one training module for you guys. So, it's a biggie. It's going to be really awesome, and I can't wait to share it with you. So some important notes. You can consume this training content in about 2 hours, but mastery takes a lifetime. I'm going to share with you my script and my process. I'm going to share the psychology. I'm going to explain exactly why people buy, why people don't buy, all of that stuff, handling objections. You can go through and consume this training in like 2 hours, but guys, mastery is going to take practice. You're going to have to revisit this training again and again. This is the training module inside this program that just this week you're going to want to watch 3 or 4 times alone. And then you're going to go out and do calls, and you're going to come back and watch it again. Guys, you're going to come back to this training probably every single week, and you're going to figure out something that you missed the first time, because mastery, takes some time. And if you're not that good at sales, how many sales calls have you honestly done? Some guys come to me and they're like, oh, I'm not that great at sales. And I'm like, well, how many sales calls have you done? They're like, 6. Of course, you need to do more than 6 sales calls to get good. A lot of people might think that I was born a good salesman. They're like, oh, Sam's just, really good at sales. That is not the truth. My first sales calls were shocking. If you listened to them, you would cringe. I've done more than 1,600 sales calls to this date. And every single time I get better. I record my calls, I listen to them, I go back to the drawing board, I figure out what worked, what didn't work. Down to the words I use, the pauses I put in there, the use of silence, the use of tonality, the use of everything. Guys, this is, sales is such an awesome skill, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. But just understand that it's going to take practice and time, and you're going to have to come back and revisit this training again and again until you have it mastered, and until you completely have it all together and you've completely mastered it. So understand that you're going to have to revisit this training and record your calls and learn from them and practice. Now, I want to put an ethical use warning in here, because guys, this process is so powerful when mastered that you will have the ability to persuade literally anybody to do anything. And I ask that you use this process ethically and only sell to people you can actually help and add value to. Because I could honestly sell anybody anything, even if I didn't know what it was, because I have the ability to position myself as a vehicle to somebody fulfilling their greatest desires. And what you're going to learn in this training is that great salesmen sell futures, not products and services. And when you understand this, I ask that you use it with warning and honesty. Most salespeople believe that they're actually selling a service, or they're selling a product, or they're selling, those things. But the truth is that great salesmen know that they're always selling futures, and they're just trying to position the product or service as a way to get that future. And I'm going to show you all about this stuff. But guys, this stuff's so powerful. When you master it, I just want you to make sure that you use it in the right way. So here's our sales process from start to finish. We start with ads on Facebook, And then people opt in, then they watch our video or our webinar, and then they apply for a strategy session with us. And then they get on the phone with us. And this is the call. And this module is all about the call. If you are good at the call, you can really screw up most of the other stuff. But even if you're awesome at ads and you build the fanciest funnel and the most awesome video and an application process and all of that, it doesn't matter if you get good leads and then they come on the phone and you can't close. So guys, sales is crucial, and I need you to pay a lot of attention in this training today. So it all starts with before the call preparation. And here's what you guys need to do. So first of all, you need to completely release your attachment to the yes. When a lot of people get on sales calls, they're just obsessed with the yes, and they want to make the sale so badly that they blow it. You need to release your attachment to the yes and put full attachment onto an accurate diagnosis. Now, a good metaphor I use is that a prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. In the medical profession, that is true. So in the medical profession, if you go into the doctor's office and he starts telling you about all of these different new drugs that he has and all of these different procedures he can do in the operating theatre, that is malpractice, and he will either kill somebody or he will be fired or sent to jail. Now guys, in business, it really is the same. The punishments aren't as severe, but a prescription before diagnosis is what most salesmen do. They come in there and they know what they want to sell, and they're just going to try and force it onto that person. But the correct way to do it is to thoroughly understand the person, their current situation, and their problems first, and then only if your solution is going to solve that, then make a prescription, and the prescription is what you're recommending to them. So it's very important to remember this. And what you need to put your attachment onto is an accurate diagnosis. So when you're going onto the call, have a clear head and understand that you just want to be able to thoroughly diagnose this person and see what the problem is in their life or their business, and why they are the way they are, and why they aren't getting what they want. Also, keep your ego in check. Don't judge people. You cannot judge people. If someone tells you something and it makes you cringe and you want to say, well, that plan sucks, or you're an idiot, or that's not going to work, or anything like that, you cannot do. The second you judge someone, or the second you bring your ego into it, these barriers just go up on someone, and it's like they are going to defend to the death to just to protect themselves. If you judge someone, their ego shield is going to come up and they're going to defend it to the death, whether they're right or wrong, and you are completely screwed. So you need to keep your ego in check and do not judge the prospect in any way. I have become very skilled at biting my tongue. I hear things that make me squirm. I hear things that just make me angry. I hear things that make me really confused. I hear crazy stuff. But I know that if I judge them, then it's all over. So guys, you need to learn to bite your tongue and not judge people when things like that happen. You also need to understand that you and the prospect are there for different things. You're there to diagnose someone and hopefully enroll them into one of your programs or into one of your services or products. They are there to look for options and see what's possible. And you also need to understand that sales is not a game, it's meeting people heart to heart. Now, a lot of people think that, selling's a game and it's all about, being high energy and talking a whole lot and all of that. The truth is great salesmen aren't like that. Great salesmen don't talk all the time. They get the other person to talk, and they use silence for effect. Great salespeople are not who you think they are. And I can tell you that right now. Great salespeople use a lot of silence. And great salespeople are very calm. It's like, they could be talking to you, and it wouldn't matter what you said. It wouldn't even matter if a gun was drawn on them or a bomb went off or anything. That salesperson would keep their composure, and their voice and tonality would be super calm. And it's like nothing shakes that person. That is what a good salesperson is like. They're very calm, they're very focused, they're super clear, and they use silence for effect. So a lot of salespeople are not, great salespeople are not who you think they are. And I'm going to teach you how to become a remarkable salesman in this training module. So best practices. Before you get on a call with someone, you want to print out their survey about 10 minutes before and look over it. So before anyone gets on a strategy session with us, we get them to complete a survey. We'll grab that survey, check your inbox, grab the survey responses, and then print it out on a piece of paper and have it in front of you, and have a quick skim over it. And then you want to be in a quiet room with headphones so that you can have your hands free to write and express yourself. And by express yourself, I mean you can use your hands. So when you're holding a phone up to your ear, you don't have your hands free to move them, but you are much better at talking when you can move your hands so that you can get your tonality and delivery of your words and sentences right. So use headphones and a microphone, have your hands free, and be in a quiet room where there's not going to be distractions or anything like that. Guys, it is a horrible look to have doorbells and deliveries and dogs barking and traffic and noise and all of that stuff going on. Never do a sales call from a car. Never do a sales call from an airport. Never do a sales call with dogs barking or with kids running around or anything like that. You need a quiet space, otherwise the other person will not take you seriously. So in front of you, you want to have the survey printed, and you want to have a notepad and a pen so that you can take notes. It's mandatory that you take notes, and it's mandatory that you have a notepad and pen in front of you. Also, no screens and no distractions. So make sure that if you are using your computer, that you turn everything off, from Facebook to email, your calendar, Skype, everything must be off, and that you're not even touching your keyboard or your mouse. I personally like to close the lid on my laptop and just have nothing but the audio. And I personally like audio via the phone so that I can use silence and complete focus as tools of persuasion. Because when video is involved, there's more distraction and I can't use silence as well. So I really like just audio only. And a lot of great salesmen I know like audio only as well. So I would consider just using the phone and just audio. I'm not a huge fan of video sales calls. And then guys, you need to release all the emotion from the day's stresses or previous calls and be in a tranquil state, ready to give your prospect your full, clean, undivided attention. So if the day's been going hard for you, if you haven't made enough money this month, if some little disaster happened in the morning, if your wife or partner's angry at you, if the previous 5 or 10 or 20 sales calls were no's and you've just been rejected and you feel like hell, I don't care. You can't carry that emotion and that baggage with you onto the call, because if you do, you will blow it. Once you get into that dark place, or once you get into that place of scattered thought, you're not going to be able to persuade anybody. So it is mandatory that you release all of this stuff and that you are in a calm, tranquil state, ready for your prospect. Now I want to introduce you to my secret weapon, and that is something that I didn't really name it this, but a lot of people who have been sold things by me call it the Sam Ovens silence. And I really use silence as my secret weapon. This is one of the most powerful things I can teach you. And what you guys have to learn to do is ask a question and then shut up. Don't ask a question and then add a little bit on the end and then add another bit and then go on another tangent. That's ridiculous, and that's not how you make sales. You ask a question and then you shut up. And when if they don't speak for 10 or 20 seconds, you don't go in over the top again and go, "Oh, I meant like this." Stop freaking out like that. Ask a question and shut up. And I don't even care if the phone goes silent for a minute. Don't talk. When you ask a question, be quiet and let them respond. Let people finish their muddled sentences and never talk over them. So when someone starts talking, if they don't give you the right answer, don't keep talking. Don't say anything. Just still remain silent. So if I ask someone a question like, how much money are you currently making a month? And they're like, oh, I'm not quite sure. I'll just stay completely silent. Because then that silence is going to make the other person think, damn, that didn't, it didn't get him. It wasn't enough to satisfy him. So then he will keep talking. If people are giving you muddled sentences, be quiet, and you'll be amazed that they start adding on extra things at the end of their sentences, even if there's a break of about 5 or 10 seconds afterwards. You need to learn to be quiet. Silence on your end allows the other person to think, and they will speak, giving you essential clues as to where the train of thought is leading, and this is what you use as your ammunition. So guys, when you ask a question and then you be quiet, the other person's processing. They're trying to process that, there are thoughts firing in their brain, and it's kind of causing a path in their brain. And then they're going to speak. But if you ask them a question and they start processing, and then you add a bit on the end of that, you broke their train of thought, and you're not, their brain isn't processing anything correctly. So you need to use silence, and it is so powerful when you learn how to do this correctly. Silence also makes the prospect worry that their answers are not good enough, and that you might not take them on as a client, and it flips the power to them being the needy, troubled ones, and to you being the one who doesn't really need anything. So when you're calm and you're silent, the other person, as they give you their answers, they start to think, wow, this guy isn't pushing me anywhere. This guy seems kind of, unimpressed with my answers. Are my answers good enough? The prospect starts to question themselves. They start to wonder, maybe I'm blowing it, which is a very crazy thing to happen on a sales call when you can get, the prospect to start second guessing himself. So I cannot stress enough how powerful silence is. Now, another problem I see guys make on sales calls is that they solve, they coach, and they help and they teach on the call. And guys, you have to learn to let people sit with the weight of their pain. Whatever you do, do not solve. When your prospect states their current situation and problems and pains, don't jump in and start coaching or solving. Just say okay and write it down. So let me give you an example. If I ask someone, how are you currently getting customers, and they start talking about Facebook and whatnot, most salesmen would get so excited at that point because they know how to do Facebook that they would jump in and they'd start talking about Facebook and how this thing's awesome and all of that. Sales call blowing. Gone. Written off. It's ended if you do that. So don't do it. Never solve. You're not there to teach. You're not there to coach. So don't solve. Just say okay. Or okay, awesome. And just, write down the answers. You have to understand that your prospect has a problem, and when you ask a question that dredges up pain attached to that emotion, don't solve it, because then they no longer feel the pain. So if I ask someone about, a problem in their business, when I activate that thought inside their brain, it comes with negative emotion attached to it, because they know it's a problem. And now they're not feeling very good anymore, because I've activated an issue in their brain. I've brought it back to life when they've probably swept it under the rug, and along with it comes these bad feelings in their stomach and everything. Now, if I solve that, and I'm like, well, we can fix this. Here's what we can do. If I solve that, they no longer feel the pain. And guys, you need to let people sit with the weight of their pain. You want to keep pulling things up, and you don't want to solve them. You want people to feel the seriousness of their situation. Just say okay, and then keep asking more questions, and let them sit with their pain and the seriousness of their situation. We are not on the call to solve, we are on the call to diagnose. Now here's where the call starts. Up until this point, it's been preparation and me telling you some pitfalls not to fall into. But here's part 1. And you want to start with some small chat for about 2 or 3 minutes. So I like to say, hey John, Sam Ovens here, how's your week been going? Well, okay, awesome. And, where are you calling from today? Oh, awesome. And, if they ask a couple of questions, perfect. We can have some small chat. And then after about a minute or 2 minutes, I'll say, all right, well, we can dive right in and get started with this call if you want. And then they'll say, yep, let's do it, or awesome, looking forward to it, or something like that. And now we're ready to go. Part 2, set the agenda and take the lead. So I like to start the call by saying this, and this is my exact one. You will reword it so that you'll reword it for yourself so that it sounds like you, but this is exactly what I say, to set the agenda for our call today and take the lead. So I say, okay, well, how this call will go is I'll start out by asking you some questions about your business and your application, which I have here, and then if it sounds like I can help and if it sounds like we're a good fit, I'll explain what I have to offer and how that works and everything, and then at the end you can make a decision whether you want to be part of it or not. And guys, the reason why we do this is 1, to state exactly how this call is going to go. We're pre-framing the exact steps along the way. And we're getting the alpha role. So sales only happen when you have the alpha role and are leading the conversation. If the other person gets on the call and starts leading the conversation, you have to flip it round. Sales only happen when the alpha is leading the beta. So if the prospect starts the call leading you with questions, dodge them and then restate the agenda before moving forward. Do not answer them. If you can't take the lead, just end the call. It will not close if you don't have the lead. So if someone gets on the call and they feel very powerful and like they're going to lead the call and they're like, all right, Sam, well, here's what I want to do on this phone call. First of all, I want to know this, and then I want to know that. And I'm like, I'll say something like this. I'll be like, okay, John, awesome. Well, how this call will go is I will start off by asking you some questions. So I'll kind of say, okay, awesome, dodge their questions, and then restate my agenda. And if I can't take the lead, I won't do it. So if the other guy pushes back and he's like, no, Sam, I don't want to do that. Here's what I want to do. I would just say, okay, well, that is not how these calls go. I apologize if, I misled you in any way, and that if you thought that you could just, tell me exactly how this call was going to go, but that's not how they go. And if you want to do that, that's fine, but I'm going to have to end this call with you today. It is either my way or no way at all, and there's no excuses. And so that's how it works. And you have to start developing a mindset like that, and you have to be strict like that. And if the other guy's like, no, I want to do it, well, I'll be like, okay, no problem. I'll talk to you later. And just end the call. Because guys, if you're not leading and if you don't have the alpha role, you'll never close. And this is crucial. So the first part is stating the agenda and taking the lead so that you have this alpha role. Now part 3, figure out why they are actually here. And you can do this with this one beautiful and simple and elegant question. So John, tell me what motivated you to take the time out of your day and schedule this call with me today. So what this question does is it just says, hey, what actually drove you to booking this call? Like, why are we really here? It's kind of a shot across the bow to see if we can get to the gold immediately. Because the guy might say, well, I've checked out this. I also, I've met some of your customers. And, the problem I have in my business is that I'm really struggling to get leads online. I've got no problem closing the sales, but I have a huge issue with getting the leads. And I heard that you were awesome at generating leads for people just like me. And, I'm ready to get started with what you do because I truly believe in what you have. If you do get an answer like that at that point, that's awesome. He's just told you exactly why he's here, and you know exactly, what to do in the sales call. Someone will probably tell you their problem. Someone will tell you why they're here. You can really get right to the heart of the matter with this question. So it's a really good one to start with. A lot of people don't give you answers that clear, and that's okay. You want to try and dig a little bit deeper, but if not, you can still move forward with the rest of the call. And now part 4 is understanding their current situation. And this is probably where most of the time is spent. Well, at least 10 minutes of the time is spent. And in here, you just want to thoroughly understand someone and their situation and why they are where they are. So imagine if you met somebody at this is a good way to think about it. Imagine you were hired by a CEO as a private investigator, and you had to go and meet with some business owner, and you had to thoroughly understand their business. Like, how does it work? Who buys their stuff? Well, how is it priced? Like, how are they doing business over there? Like, I want to know exactly how this business works. You need to thoroughly get that. It needs to click in your mind. You just can't have a vague understanding. You need to have a crystal clear understanding of how this guy's business operates and, how it can be improved and where its issues are. So I usually start out by saying, okay, so John, what are you selling with this business? And I want to learn all about their products and their services. If they have a range of them, I will write them all down. It's important that you write everything down. I'm always taking notes. And how are you pricing that? I want to learn what the different price points are. Who is your ideal customer? I want to learn who they are looking for. I want to know why people buy their products or service. So why do people buy your product or service? And then what's the big promise of their service? Like, what are people going to get if they buy what they have? And then what is the sales process from a stranger to a client with you? I want to understand how they take someone from not knowing who they are to an actual paying client. And if they're selling multiple services or products, what makes up most of the sales volume? I want to know if they're selling 5 different things, what's the one that's worth a lot? Because guys, here's how you can blow it with this one. If someone's selling 4 different things, and let's say it's it's service A, B, C, D. Those are the four different ones. Service A, B, C, D. Now, if you just believe that product A is the one that they care about the most without figuring out how it ties into their business, and for the rest of the call you keep making reference to product A, by the time you get to the close, the guy's not really going to care because it turns out that product A only makes up for 10% of his profit, and in fact he doesn't like delivering product A, and he actually wants to stop selling product A. And then your entire sales conversation is screwed because you latched on to a piece of evidence here that you didn't check to make sure it was the right thing. So I like to know what's the main service. I want to latch on to the thing they want to sell the most of, the thing that affects their bottom line the most, and the thing that makes up most of their sales volume, and the thing that they want to grow. So I want to make sure I understand all of this stuff here, and I want to write it down and thoroughly understand how this guy does business and how his business makes money. Now, part 5 is gathering essential data and causing self-inflicted pain. Now, this part is awesome because we still continue to gather data that we need, but we get to make them feel like we get to make them cause their own self-inflicted pain. Now, how this is done is, if you remember how I said you can't judge people. So if you got on the call and you were like, wow, your business is doing really bad, isn't it? Or your business is crap, right? That's judging, and the other person's going to think you're an idiot, and their guard is going to go up, and you're not going to be able to sell them. But we can cause self-inflicted pain, which is the pain that you want to cause. So it's like when you go to a doctor or a psychiatrist or whatever they're called. So, they start asking you questions. They're like, Sam, how much alcohol did you drink in the past week? And you're like, oh, I might have had like 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night. And they're like, okay. What about sleep? How many hours of sleep have you had over the past week? I'm like, oh, probably like 6 or 7 hours a week. And they're like, okay, what about exercise? I'm like, oh, I've only been like once. Only once a week? Yeah. Okay, and what's your diet been like? I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure. And the doctor doesn't even respond, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it hasn't been very good. And then the doctor's like, not very good. Tell me more about that. Right? I'm starting to feel really bad about myself. I'm like, oh, like the doctor isn't responding, saying anything. They're not responding to anything I'm saying. They're kind of questioning everything about me, and I'm starting to make myself feel bad. That is what we're doing in part 5 here. We're asking questions that, by the nature of answering them, the prospect starts to cause them self-pain. So, how are you currently getting customers? It's a question I ask. Do you know how much it's costing you to get a new customer? Do you have a proven process in place to get new customers at will? And are you comfortable relying on this style of running your business? So, a lot of the time people will have muddled answers to these questions. And when people have muddled answers to your questions, just shut up. Don't say anything, and then they will add something in on the end of that, and that's when you start to flip the power in your favor. So when people don't give you a proper answer, just shut up and keep quiet, and they will keep filling in after that. Also, a lot of people don't know the answers to these questions, and by having muddled answers to these questions, and by not knowing the answers to these questions, they're going to start to feel a bit guilty as a business owner, and they're going to start to, think, oh my God, this is actually worse than I thought. And they're starting to think, wow, I hope I don't sound so bad that this guy doesn't even want to work with me. That's when you're really doing it well. So once you've gone through that, you must answer this question. You must get this question answered. Okay, and how much money are you making per month right now with this business? And you must get an answer to this question, guys. It is absolutely mandatory to understand how much money someone's making per month with their business before moving forward. If you never get the financial questions in there, the other person will never even see you as someone who actually adds to their financial situation, because you never even investigated it. Without this question answered, the sales process cannot go forward. And you need a clear answer here. It needs to be a number. So if the other person's muddled, say, okay, well, money in dollars, how much money do you think you're making a month? How much money did you make last month? You need to get a dollar figure amount here. And now part 6 is figuring out what they want. So, okay, John, where do you want to grow this business to in the next 12 months' time? And, let them think for a little bit and get an idea of where they want to get to. What's their dream and their vision? And guys, you must get an answer to this. Hear them out, hear out their scattered thoughts, and then see if you can, get a specific dollar figure per month where they would like to be at. It is absolutely important that you do this. And then once you get that figure, you want to say, okay, and what's your motivation for getting to X? So if I said, okay, John, where do you want to grow this business to in the next 12 months? And John says, well, probably, I'd really like to get this business to about, $500,000 a year. And I'd say, okay, so should we say about, is that $40,000 a month? And he's like, oh, that way, no, I'd probably 50,000 a month. Okay, so 50,000 a month. Yep, yeah, that's where I'd want to be at. Okay. And tell me, John, what is your motivation for getting to $50,000 a month? And now John starts to think, why do I actually want to get to 50 grand a month? And these are very good questions, because you start to bring in the emotional side. So sometimes people say, oh, well, I'm a single mother and, I need to be able to provide for college. Or they say, oh, well, I've just gone through a divorce and I had to give half to my wife and my lifestyle's been impacted. I want to get back to where I was. You start to bring in the reason why they want to make more money. You can also say, how would things be different for your business if you got to 50 grand a month? And that's going to start to get them thinking about the future and thinking about their vision. So we've been kind of fixed on getting the seriousness of their current situation and really making themselves feel bad there and understanding that. And now we're trying to future pace 12 months and get them to figure out where they want to be. We're getting a data point for that in dollars per month. And now we're seeing how things are going to be different for their business. And we're getting them to paint their own picture of the future. So they can say things like, oh, well, it would be so much, less stressful. I'd be able to bring in a couple of people and help me with the day-to-day. I'd be able to get, a proper accounting firm in, so I don't need to worry about all of that. And, they start to paint a picture of what life would be like. And would getting you to $50,000 a month, John, have an impact on other areas of your life? And if John's like, oh, absolutely. I'd be like, okay, well, tell me about that. And if John's like, well, I'd love to get back to where I was in terms of my lifestyle. I had a nice house in Palm Beach in Florida, and I had a boat, and I really want to get back there because I was enjoying myself. I've been at this a while. I'm not young. I've been doing this for a long time, and I want to be able to feel like I was feeling before, and I want to get back there. So you're starting to see where they want to go and what that means to them, and not only for their business but for their own personal life too. So you're really painting a vivid, accurate picture of the future. And in this part, guys, support them in their vision and make sure that you spend some time defining it and exploring it with them. And if they are aiming too low, help them aim higher and widen what's possible for them beyond what they might see for themselves. So if John's making $10,000 a month right now, and I ask him where he wants to be in 12 months from now, and he tells me he wants to be at $15,000 a month, I would start helping him, widen that gap. I would start asking, John, why is that? Why are you aiming so low? And I would say, what is it that's made you think that, that's all you're capable of? And really trying to help him understand that things could be a lot bigger. And in this point, you can also use some case studies or stories of people you have helped to help them see a bigger vision. So I could say, John, look, I work with a lot of people in your industry. And do you know this guy or this guy? If he's like, yes, and I'm like, okay, well, when Jimmy started working with me, he's in the exact same industry, he's in the exact same niche. To be honest, he has less experience than you here. He hasn't been in business for as long, and I don't even know if, his service is even as great as yours. But Jimmy started working with me when he was at about 10,000 months, so precisely where you are right now. And when he first got on the phone with me, at this point where you and I are right now, he was aiming too low too. I really showed Jimmy what was possible, and I showed him that, with the skills that he has, he could probably get to $100,000 a month. And, you're starting to use stories to help them see what's possible. And then you can say that, you started working with Jimmy and you actually got him to 100 grand a month within the first 6 months. And, you're starting to paint a picture of what's possible. And you're helping them see a bigger vision. And you're helping them see, wow, like things could really be awesome. So a lot of people will come in thinking things could be awesome. If he came on the call and he wanted to get to 100 grand a month, I probably wouldn't help him paint that picture bigger. If someone's at 10 grand a month and they want to get to 100, that's already a big gap. I'm not going to try and extend that. But when the gap is too small, when someone only wants to double, or when someone wants to less than double, I help them widen that gap and see what's bigger. Part 7, and this is the magic. This is probably the best part of this whole sales thing. So part 7, releasing control and self-admission. So, okay, John, you're currently making $10,000 a month, and you want to get to $50,000 a month. Tell me what's stopping you from achieving that on your own. And be dead silent. This question is gold. This question lines up the sales conversation. Because, guys, this is how masterful salesmen sell. They define someone's current situation clearly. They make people see how it's actually worse than what they think. They let them sit with the pain and the seriousness of their current situation. And then they start exploring the desired situation that the person wants. Where do they want to be in 12 months from now? They figure out a dollar figure. And they help the person see that, and they help stretch that vision. And then they help see how it will, it'll improve their business and their personal life and all of that stuff. So we've got, defined emotional states and dollar figures for both current situation and desired. Desired is awesome, current is not good, and they're not happy. And we've made sure that there's a good gap in between these two things. Because, guys, all you're doing in sales and all you're doing with your business is helping someone go from their current situation to their desired situation, and you're making them believe that you are the vehicle to get them there. That is all sales is. Now, there's 3 reasons why people buy. Number 1 is that they know their current situation, they know their desired situation, and they're unable to get there on their own. So they've tried and failed, or they don't think they can get there on their own. Number 2 is that they want to get there faster. So they might say, well, I don't think anything's stopping me from getting there on my own, but to be honest, I want to do it fast. I know I want to be there in like 3 months. I don't want to muck around and take, a year or 2 years to get there. And the third one is that they want to use a proven system and have guidance from somebody who has actually done it. So guys, these are the 3 reasons why people hire coaches and consultants. To go from their current situation to their desired situation, and they're either unable to get there on their own, they want to get there faster, or they want to use a proven system and have guidance from somebody who has actually done it. So this is the releasing control and self-admission. You're getting the person to tell you what's stopping them from getting there on their own. Now, when they do this, they're releasing control. They're pretty much admitting defeat and saying that they can't. They're telling you what they have right now and how it's not that great. And then they're telling you what they want and how that's going to be the answer to everything in their life. And then they're telling you how they can't do that on their own. That's self-admission. That's checking yourself in to somewhere for care by somebody else. It's admitting defeat. And unless you have someone admit that to you as the expert and as the steward of this conversation, then you will have extreme difficulty trying to close it. So you want to listen for those 3 magic statements before moving forward. Those 3 things were, well, I've tried, I've tried different things, and I haven't figured out how to do it yet. I don't even know if I can do it on my own, to be honest. I'm not very good at it. Or, I could probably do it on my own, but to be honest, I just want to get there faster. Or I just want to use a proven system and learn from somebody who's actually done it. I don't want to try and screw around figuring the stuff out on my own. So you're listening for those sorts of things. If they don't think anything is stopping them from doing it on their own, then you will not be able to sell them, because that is the biggest objection. If someone thinks they can do what you can do for them on their own, they're never going to buy. So if they do think that they can achieve success on their own, this is what that can look like. They're like, well, to be honest, nothing's stopping me from doing that on my own. I'm like, okay, well, this is what I'd say. I'd say, okay, well, that's really awesome, man. Congratulations on that. And I don't see how you need my help if you've got everything together. Now just be quiet. Because, guys, you have to understand that they wouldn't have got on the phone with you and they wouldn't have reached out and scheduled the call unless they had a problem and unless they didn't think that they can get there on their own. And if they will not admit this stuff, then I'll just say, that's awesome, man. It doesn't look like you need my help. And I won't let the call go past this point without doing this piece correctly. Part 8. Gaining commitment and wrapping in emotion. Okay, John, so you're currently making $10,000 a month. Why not just stay there? It's making John think, okay, well, I'm at 10 grand a month. Why not just stay? Vital question. He's going to start telling you, emotional things. He's going to say, well, to be honest, that's not even covering the expenses here in the business, and I really have 2 months to figure this stuff out before things get really bad. It's going to be like, the guy telling you who just recently got divorced or something like that, and he needs to make more. Okay, and is not having this affecting any other areas of your life? We're trying to bring in the personal side. Okay, and when are you wanting to fix this? Beautiful question. When are you wanting to fix this? Do you want answers like, well, I want to fix this immediately. This needs to be done now. Okay, and I know that you are wanting to fix this now, but how committed are you to making this happen? We're gaining commitment. So guys, in this part 8, we're getting them to sell us why they can't just stay where they are, why they want to do it now, and we're getting them to tell us how committed they are to making this change. We're getting them to really put commitment in here, and we're wrapping emotion into the conversation. Guys, this stuff is scarily fucking powerful. Like, this is not some script that I just threw together. This comes from total mastery. And so, these things just look like questions, but I assure you they are not questions. We are doing something very powerful here in persuasion. And the responses to this question always bring in emotional drivers. Responses like being a single mother or having just gone through a divorce. Because, guys, there is always a powerful underlying reason why somebody wants to make more money in their business, and you need to uncover it here. You need to get the emotion involved. You need to get the commitment in there. You need someone to tell you that they want to fix their stuff now, and that they're extremely committed, and that this isn't just affecting their business but their personal life, and that they cannot stay where they are. Part 9. Acknowledging the gap and gaining permission to share. So this is very simple. Okay, John, well, I can definitely help you with that. I think you're a good fit for what I do. Would you like me to tell you about what I do? And be quiet. And we're getting permission to tell John what we do. We're saying we can help. So at this point, he said, this is my problem. He said, this is where I want to get to. I can't get there on my own. I cannot stay in the current situation. I need help. I need to do this now, and I'm extremely committed to doing this now. And now we're saying, well, we can help. And would you like me to tell you about what I do? And then John will say yes. And then you state what you are an expert at. Well, John, my area of expertise is helping service businesses get more clients with online advertising. Or, whatever it is that you do, you say it there. And I typically work with businesses just like yours that are doing around $10,000 a month, and I help them put a predictable system in place to get more clients and help them really grow up to that sort of $50,000 to $100,000 a month mark. And guys, you want to script out how you present yourself and practice it until you can deliver it clearly and in a powerful way. You want your prospect at this point to think, that's me, that's my situation right now, and I definitely want to achieve that result. Therefore, you must be the expert to help them here. So, you also want to mold your response here to reflect what they've said to you in the call. So this must sound perfect to them. It must sound like exactly that you are the person they've always been waiting for. So, if you talk about how you're an expert at helping people with John's type of business go from 10 to where he wants to go. And you just state that, and then you shut up. And I know it's weird because you're not asking another question here, but this is what happens from this point forward. You just say your sentence and then you just be quiet. And you let silence work them. And guys, some really crazy psychological things start to happen when you at this point of the conversation. Because the conversation now changes tempo. And here's what I mean by that. So up until this point, you have asked questions and they've responded to you, and you've responded by saying, okay, and then asked the next question. That's how you've led it up until this point. But now things change. Now you just state what you are an expert at and then shut up and wait for them to start pulling more from you. So at this point you have led them into a mental state that they have never been in before. They know they have a problem. They know that the problem is bad. They know what they want, and they know they can't get there on their own, and they know they need to fix it now, and they're committed to doing it now. And they know that you are the expert to help get them there. So everything is perfectly aligned. But you are now not leading the conversation forward, and they have to pull it all from you, which again builds their neediness while strengthening your power. So we led the conversation up until this point where everything seems like it's just perfectly aligned, like it's like a miracle. They've thoroughly understood their current situation. They understand how it's so bad and it needs to change. They know how it's affecting their personal life. They know they can't stay there. And now you've explored the greatest heights of their dreams and where they want to grow their business and how that's going to affect their personal lives. And they've admitted that they can't do it on their own, that they need help, and that they need to do this right now, and that they're committed to do it right now, and that they can't stay at the point that they've been at. And they know that you're the person that is the expert at helping them get there. So everything is aligned, but now for some reason you're not leading the conversation forward, and you're just silent. And this it's seriously powerful. Like, it's scary how powerful this stuff is, because now they have to pull it from you, and that builds their neediness and it strengthens your power. Start part 11, stating your offer and how it works. So the next step, when you do it correctly, is that your prospect will ask you how they can work with you or what you have to offer. And when they ask, you need to present what you have in a clear way that does not solve their issues. So at this point, your prospect has probably said, okay, well, how does that work with you? Like, what do you do? Tell me what you do. You're waiting for something like that. And then you need to present what you have in a vague way. So here you state what you do and how it works. And you must talk about it at a high level and keep it vague. Don't talk about all the processes or the features or anything like that, because you will trigger what I call the feature brain in your prospect. And what the feature brain is when you start talking about AdWords or Facebook, or you start talking about a process like, okay, well, we'll start with this and then we'll do that. Don't talk about that stuff. Just talk at a high level about what you do. So let me give you an example. I might say something like, okay, well, what I basically do is I have an 8-week training program where I help coaches and consultants put a predictable system inside their business to help them get new clients. And then I'd just be quiet. It's really how vague it is. I'd say, okay, let's say I'm doing done-for-you marketing. I'd say, okay, well, what I do is I help small and medium businesses put a system in place to get more clients with Google AdWords, and I've really mastered it for the legal niche. I really have come up with a proven system and a proof of concept to get more clients in the legal niche, and it works really well, and I've done it for a lot of people. And then just be quiet. So you want to leave it high level. You don't want to get down into the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of it. Because if you set off the wrong feature brain in your prospect, you're screwed. What I mean by this is if I say, well, what we'll do is we'll start off with AdWords, we're going to run AdWords, we're going to run Facebook, we're going to do this and this. The person starts to go, oh, Facebook. I heard from my friend that Facebook didn't work. Or I tried Facebook once and it bombed. Or I paid this guy $100 in India and he ran Facebook for me and it didn't work. Or I never click on Facebook ads, therefore no one else clicks on Facebook ads. That's the sort of shit you trigger when you talk about features. So don't talk about it. Keep it nice and high level. Because you want to keep their brain fixated on the outcome. So your description about how your thing works should be no more than 2 minutes long, and should not talk about the price. Never mention the price here. Just talk at a high level about what it does, and then shut up again. And I know it doesn't seem logical because you're not asking a question at the end, but you just state vaguely what you do, and then you shut up. Now your prospect will start asking you questions about how it works, and they will keep asking questions until they have a clear understanding of exactly how it works, and more importantly, how it works for them. And when you present your offer in vague detail, the prospect then asks you for all the pieces they need to understand, and they keep asking until they have the full picture that they need. So if I gave a long, lengthy 5-minute, a 5-minute variation of what I do, 80% of the stuff I say to the prospect, they might not be interested in. But when I make it nice and vague, they then follow up by asking the questions they need to understand about the offer. And they're essentially designing the perfect offer for themselves by doing that. Think about it this way. If I start saying 5 minutes of stuff, I'd tell you 4.5 minutes of that stuff they don't care about and I've missed them. But if I just say 30 seconds of what I offer, then they're going to spend the next 5 minutes asking the pieces that they want. And guys, this seems subtle. A lot of this shit in here is so subtle. Like, that's how you can understand that I truly know and have mastered this stuff. Because I guarantee you no one else is teaching subtleties like this in their sales conversations. So, by keeping it vague and then making the prospect pull it from you, they're essentially designing their ultimate solution, and they're understanding it as clear as they need. It helps them pull together the mental picture that they need. And as you answer this question, be careful not to divert the conversation. Just answer the specific question they asked and then shut up. So if they ask me, okay, well, how does that work? I answer it specifically and then I be quiet. I don't answer the question and then start talking some more. I just answer the question they asked and then I shut up again. And eventually, when your prospect has asked all the questions they have regarding the offer, and you just keep remaining silent, they ask another question, you answer it, shut up, it'll go back and forward like that until the prospect fully understands everything. And then, guys, you'll be amazed at how many questions they'll have before the price question comes. So many salespeople blow it because they mention the price before the prospect has even understood what the hell it is that you're offering. And now if the prospect only has this very vague idea of what you offer, and now they hear the price, well, they don't know how to weigh price against the offer because their mind wasn't even thinking about the price. As a sales rep, you think that the next piece is price, but believe me, the prospect has a whole bunch of questions and a whole bunch of processing to do mentally before they even think about the price. So that's another subtlety. And then they will finally ask about the price when you've been through everything. And guys, this is part 12, stating your price with incentive-based pricing. And this part comes only when your prospect asks for it. So if they say, okay, and all right, well, how much does this cost? And here's where you state the investment, and you use what I call incentive-based pricing. Well, the everyday price for this program is $9,800. But I've found that those who make decisions quickly always turn out to be the best clients, and we do amazing work together. So for that reason, I have something called incentive-based pricing, where if you make a decision on the call with me today, I'll knock $4,000 off the investment, and it's just $5,800. And then you shut up. So that's if you're selling a group coaching program or a one-off product or service. If you're selling something like, digital marketing or your agency stuff, you'd say, well, my fee for managing this for you is $2,000 a month. And there is a setup fee of $2,000 one time. But I've found that those who make decisions quickly always turn out to be the best clients, and we do amazing work together. So for that reason, I have something called incentive-based pricing, where if you make a decision on the call with me today, I'll waive the $2,000 setup fee, and it's just $2,000 a month, and then shut up. So guys, here we're doing something very, very awesome. We are stating the price, and we're making it more expensive first. So it's going from $9,800 down to $5,800. So when they're first listening to the price, they're thinking, can I do that? They're like $2,000, or they're like $10,000, but then as you go through, they figure out that it's actually cheaper. So something mentally happens to them where they first convince themselves that it's 9.8 and they run some math to see if they can do 9.8 in that split moment, but then they hear that it's going to be 5.8, and it immediately sounds like it got cheaper. But also what's happening here is that there is a clear reason for them to make a decision now. There is a massive incentive for them to make a decision. And without incentive-based pricing, they can want to think about it and delay decision and do all of that. So it's very important to wrap this into the conversation. And guys, when you tell them your price and you end by saying, and the investment is $5,800, it is so mandatory that you shut up. Because the silence in this moment is the most crucial part of your entire call. You must not cave in, and you must remain silent until the prospect speaks. And honestly, sometimes the silence is longer than 1 or 2 minutes. You just have to shut up. You cannot speak. And let them squirm under the pressure. At this point, your prospect knows they have a problem. They know what they want, and they have admitted that they can't get there on their own, they've also admitted that they can't stay in their current situation and that they need to change it immediately and that they're committed to doing it. And they see you as the leader and expert with the solution to get them where they want to go to. And you covered your offer and let them extract every detail that they need to know about it, and now they've asked you about the price. And you stated the price and shut up. Now their brain is in serious overdrive, running mental movies of what might happen if they buy or don't buy. It's thinking about the bills they have, the cash flows in their business, or whether they can pull the trigger on the investment, and you must let them sit with the pressure of silence to process this. And if they say okay, or okay well, or anything like that, just remain silent. If they ask if you are still there, say, yes, I am, and then just shut up again. Whatever you do, don't let them off the hook. You have to remain silent, and you have to let them process. And what we're waiting for here, guys, are any words that mean let's move forward with this. So we're waiting for a question like, okay, well, all right, you'll when you state it like that, they'll have pauses and they'll say things like okay and all right, and they don't speak. And you're looking for something that's like, what's the next step, or okay, or what's next, or okay, how do we get started, or okay, let's do it. And if you get one of these, then here's how we move forward. You say, awesome, well, we can get you started right now if you want. And then they'll say something like, okay, well, how do we do that? Or, okay, how do we do the payment? Or words like this. And then you can say, well, we can do credit card over the phone right now if you want. And they'll say, okay, cool. And they'll get out their credit card. And then you say, okay, so is that Visa or MasterCard? And then you collect the payment details and boom, you're a closer. What we will not accept, on the other hand, any words that do not mean yes or no. Guys, you have to understand that this decision is binary. It's on or off, and it can't be left in grey area. So you want to not accept anything like this. Okay, well, can you send me something via email? Or, okay, how do I get back in touch with you if I decide to move forward? Or, okay, I'm going to need to think about this. Or, okay, I'm going to have to ask my business partner, wife, or one of those other things. Guys, you have to understand that a no is fine, but a maybe is not fine. If somebody says that this is too expensive and they can't do that, they can't do this, it's fine. Ask them why they can't and see if you can handle the objection. No's are fine. It's the maybes that we don't like and will not accept, because you need to understand this. Anything but a yes is a no. The absence of a yes is a no. And if I look back over my data, anything that wasn't a yes on the call really turned into a yes later. And even if it did, the effort needed to convert it was more than it was needed to convert a brand new prospect. So you must create a reason for people to buy now on the call, and never let a single call linger in the maybe zone. Nobody in their right mind will turn down a $2,000 discount just to think about it. If somebody says they want to think about it, make sure that they understand that after the call, the $2,000 discount goes away. If somebody still doesn't mind about the $2,000 discount, they were never going to buy anyway. Now we need to understand why people don't buy. So they have a problem, and life would always be, this is what they think. They've got a problem, and life would be better if they were making more money. But life has been tolerable up until now, and they will still be fine just tolerating where they are right now. And guys, I call this the retreat to fine. So people don't buy because they retreat to fine. They think that they're having a broader vision of their life, but then they retreat back to fine because they get a bit too scared. Don't let people retreat to fine. Show them the seriousness of their situation. They must make a decision. People will do everything they can to get the option. They want to bring the option home. That's what they want to do. They want to get the option to do something in their own time and at a later date. That's what they want. Don't give people this option. Make them understand that a decision needs to be made to either move forward or put this matter to bed, and then fence sitting is in nobody's best interest. If somebody can't make a decision and insists that they need to think about it, say that's okay, but the absence of a yes to you is a no, and thank them for taking the call. But that's a no, and there is no option to think about it, and they can get back to you whenever they want, but it's going to be at the everyday price. And now, guys, I want to introduce you to the 7-figure sales script and handling objections. So I've really tried, to give you my best stuff here. So, this training is really good, but I've also put together my own script for you guys. So this is shared as a PDF. And this goes through every single point of the sales process, from the pre-call preparation to the small chat, to stating the agenda, figuring out why they are here, understanding the current situation, gathering the essential data and causing self-inflicted pain, figuring out what they want, releasing control and self-admission, gaining commitment and wrapping in the emotion, acknowledging the gap and permission to share, stating what you're an expert at, state your offer and how it works, and stating your offer with incentive-based pricing. It even tells you what not to accept and what we're looking for, how to take the payment, and how to handle objections. So guys, I've put in all the common objections in here and how I handle them. So if someone says, how much time do I have to decide? I would say, well, how much time do you need to decide? And I will get them to give me a specific answer. And I will also say, well, is there something in particular you need to think about that we can just discuss right now? And if I start exploring here, this objection might eventually come to this next one. I need time to find the money and look over my finances. Or I just don't make decisions on the spot. Or I need to check with my partner or spouse. And to this we can say, okay, great. When specifically will you be talking with your partner or spouse? Or when will you be looking over your finances? Or when will you be sitting down to think about it? And if they give you a specific answer, say, perfect. So you will have spoken to your spouse or partner or looked over your finances by noon Eastern tomorrow. And if they say yes, you can say, awesome, well, I just added you as a friend on Facebook, and just reach out to me there and get enrolled by noon tomorrow, and I'll hold those savings for you. So if someone can decide within 24 hours or the very next day, I will let them have that. If they give me a very specific time, I will let them have the savings, the incentive-based savings, up until that point. I have no money. So if someone says this, it's just, if someone says this, you just say, okay, and then there's a bit of silence. Well, we understand that finances can be a challenge, and we always do our best to work with people in this scenario. So let me ask you this. Is this something that you really want to do? Because if it's not a good fit, that's okay too. And they'll say something like, oh no, I want to do it. And then you can say, okay, so how can we make this happen for you? And they will start to think about, how we can actually make this work in with their finances. I can't afford it. Tell me more about that. Let them tell you. Okay, so you shared with me throughout the call that this is exactly what you need to do to move forward. So tell me, how is it that you are going to afford to continue without it? So how will we make this a reality for you? I don't have the money. Well, isn't that why you came on the call to begin with? We're helping them make more money. If you're selling, any sort of service for businesses, you're helping them make more money. So you can say, well, isn't that why you came on the call to begin with? Once I make some money, then I want to work with you. So tell me how that would work, and let them tell you whatever it is. Then you can say, okay, so let me see if I've got this right. What you are saying is that you're going to continue to do what you have told me is building your business slowly and isn't even paying your bills and is leading to huge issues. And you are going to continue to do what's not working long enough to someday, somehow build up a surplus which you really know is not ever going to happen, to invest in what will work. Is that an accurate statement? And guys, that sounds so fucking ridiculous that it's hard for the person to really say that. So they'll say, well, that sounds silly, I know. And then we can again come to, so how can we make this work for you? I need some time to think it over. Okay, I get that, and I encourage that, and we want this to be a great fit for everyone. Can I ask you this? What haven't we discussed that you still need to think about? That's why I take the time on these calls. I'm here right now to help you make an empowered decision. While you still have me on the phone here, what questions or concerns do you still have that are unanswered? And discuss those. If they can decide in 24 hours or the next day, we get a specific date and time that they need to enroll by to get the incentive-based price. It's not a good time. Do you mind if I ask you a question about that? When will it be a good time for you to start putting the things you said are most important to you into your life? Or, how will you know when it's time to start doing and having the things in your life that you just told me were so important? Guys, a lot of these objections are really quite silly, and when we're kind of restating them back to the person to make them feel like this is a silly thing that I'm doing. Objection. I need to check with my partner or spouse. Yes, I totally understand that it's very important, so let me clarify here. Are you saying you are in and you just need to get sign-off from your spouse or partner and then we're moving forward, or is there something else? And if yes, say, okay, great. Well, when specifically will you guys be able to talk? Perfect, so you have spoken to your spouse by noon Eastern tomorrow. Awesome, I just friended you on Facebook. Just reach out to me there and get enrolled by noon tomorrow, and I'll hold those savings for you until then. And if they can decide in 24 hours or the next day, we just set a specific time and day they need to enroll by to get the incentive price. And you can also offer to get on the phone with a spouse and discuss it too if it works. And it works really well when you do. Just be sure that if they do come on the phone, that you don't start blabbing about you and you're just there for them. And you can start the conversation by asking, great, what questions do you have about us helping your husband or wife grow their business, lose weight, balance their hormones, whatever it is that you're selling, and address their concerns and questions only. I've been in other programs like this and I still haven't gotten the results. I've worked with other companies like this and I still haven't gotten the results. There's somebody you don't trust and it's either me or you. Which do you think it is, and let's discuss that. Or what specific outcomes would you need to see to make this totally worth the investment of time and resources? What would make this a complete no-brainer for you? And that's exactly what we will be addressing. Do you have a guarantee? Absolutely. We guarantee that if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll get the same results. So that's our guarantee. But with that being said, we can guarantee that our system works. And here you can insert whatever your guarantee is. But you also want to make it clear to them that if they're looking for an out before you even begin, then you're probably not a good fit, because that energy will not serve anybody. And most of the time, if someone thinks something's not going to work, it won't. And if they're still on the fence, guys, this is the magic question, and this question is gold. Look, the real decision you are making isn't whether or not to coach with me or anyone else out there. That's really irrelevant. The real decision you have to make is whether or not you are ready to commit to having, and then you put in here the things that they wanted, or whether or not you want to continue staying with what they have now. That's the real decision you're going to be faced with until you're ready for change. And guys, this is magical. It makes the decision about gaining what they want in life, not about coaching with you. It's saying, that they really need to make a decision whether they want to get the future they want or whether they want to stay with the problem and disaster that they have now. And remember that they are not making a decision to work with you, coach with you, or buy your service or whatever it is. The real decision is whether or not they want to stay stuck where they are or move forward and gain the things that they really want. Like I said, guys, we're not selling our processes or ourselves or anything. We're really selling futures. So that's it. So, guys, this has been the training on sales. I'm giving you this full script available for download below. And this has been a full training for, I think it's been for, it's only been an hour and 20 minutes, so we went over it pretty quick. But guys, like I said in the beginning of this training, to master this takes time. You're going to want to watch this video probably 4 times just this week. You're going to want to read through the script. You're going to want to practice doing this. You're going to want to practice saying the questions in the mirror. You want to record yourself playing the questions, play it back, let yourself listen. Partner up with someone else in the group and practice going through this script. The Facebook group is there for you guys to say, hey, I'm looking to practice, my script. Who would like to do a practice run with me? And you can, jump on Skype and have a practice. Practice. Keep coming back to this video. Keep coming back to the script. Print the script out and read it before you go to bed. Really make this a part of you and really just, completely submerge yourself in this. Because when you master this, everything will change for you. So that's it, guys, for this week's training on the 7-figure sales training. I hope you have enjoyed it. And in terms of action items this week, it's simply to, write your own script. So use my script as a basis for forming yours, but make the questions specific to your target market. Make the language in your own language, rewrite all the sentences, and type up and print out your very own script. And also in the part where you talk about how your service works, come up with your own answers. Guys, the action items this week is to watch this video 4 times, thoroughly understand all of this, and then create your own script and then start practicing your script. So there's a lot of work to do this week, and you need to get started on it right now. So that's it for this training. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll be seeing you on the Q&As this week and in the Facebook group. Thanks for watching.